So I want to understand, what does that really mean?
Because the first few years when I came to Bombay, it was so exciting. So I won a bunch of awards like the best debut and Filmfare and this and Z and all of that. And then I went back to do a Telugu film 2 years later. There were some 7 actors that were new.
The loneliness in Mumbai is not really. It's not the larger feeling that you have. This particular item will change your life as a with a big family. You need this cooker, which is just going to be amazing. But she doesn't have that family.
Hi, this is Bhavna and you're watching India Today. If you must be living under a rock if you have not heard this film so far, all we imagine as light, the director Payal Kapadia and actor, distributor, producer, everything in general, but this time as a producer, Rana Daggubati, joining me only on India Today. Firstly, a huge welcome, both of you. Payal, I have to confess, I watched the film. I think, as a Mumbaikar myself, the first 5 minutes of the film really got me into the spirit of the city. Also because, for me, what was lovely is that people are chatting in their own mother tongue, and within a span of 5 minutes, I'm hearing all kinds of languages from a Gujarati. I think that is the first thing that comes to your mind, that we all coexist despite our differences. I think the entire film in itself is such a emotional ride for me as someone from the city. When you were making this, what was that like? Were there moments where you were like, I don't know how much to show and how to capture the entire essence of the city while telling the story that you want?
It definitely was. I wanted to make the film start with a kind of a non-fiction, which was a city symphony, where you hear so many voices that make up the city. And then we are taking one voice from this symphony and opening the film with the curtain opening in the beginning, and then being invited into the lives of these women who are one amongst the many who come to Mumbai. So I think many more films need to I think I will need to make to be able to capture the spirit of Mumbai.
And you must.
But for now, this is one strand.
And what a lovely strand, because I feel like, I'm sorry, I'll come to Rana also, but because we're talking about Mumbai and this film, I think the one thing that I took away was that while when we talk about Mumbai, it's usually the city of dreams, where everyone comes and tries their hands and experiment with their luck in a lot of ways, but also no one really talks about the loneliness that it comes with. Specifically with Prabha as a character, we kind of deep dive into what it means to be in Mumbai, be a part of the city and still not be a part of the city. I mean, that is what I took. Where did you base these experiences and these references from when you were building Prabha as a character?
They were from a lot of people that I had met, and a little bit of people who I knew very closely also. And the character of Prabha is very specific because it's not. I understand what you're saying, that the loneliness in Mumbai is not really. It's not the larger feeling that you have, but for her, because there is an absent husband or there is an absent family, and it's what she yearns for. That is the loneliness that she feels, which is to do with a family, which is the conventional family. Not realizing that she actually has another family, which is the family of her friends. And by the end of
I know. I mean, eventually you find that friendship.
That family. And to be able to accept that this is also a family. And that is the kind of thing that she's dealing with, and that's her journey in the film. And a character like Parvati, that I think she is very Mumbai. She's one no-nonsense lady. She's like she's like, I don't have time for self-pity and to feel sorry for myself. She's like, get on with it, There is no time in Mumbai to feel like, oh, I'm so lonely, I'm so sad. No, you don't have time. And so she takes decisions very quickly, sometimes too quickly. I think she's a bit irrational at times. But I think that it comes a lot from a lot of Maharashtrian women who have come and made Mumbai their home. They are not from Mumbai, but they've lived and worked here. They've become the sole bread earners of the family, and they are the the force, I think, of
and
Mumbai.
You actually don't have time to complain, because as they say, Mumbai mein slow bhi nahi chal sakte, because पीछे वाला आके बोलेगा अरे आगे चलना. It's just that. But Rana, you have already explained what the first 10 minutes kind of engaged you so much that you were like, I want to distribute this. But what was this first conversation between you and Payal like?
See, first I think I got to watch the film. I got a screener from the team, and Obviously, I've heard stuff, I've heard things in the news. Like, to me, it defined slice of life in probably the best manner that I ever saw. And also, it was interesting because it was story of Malayalis in Bombay. I was a Telugu in Bombay, say 20 years ago when I came and did a film called The Marodam. It was things that were very familiar. It was friendships that became very close. But then few years later, you feel like you don't know anybody in the city. I think all of that, everybody will have some piece of it that you can own. If you've been in Bombay enough and worked here, you'll have pieces to identify. Though it's the story of nurses and people who lived in a hospital. It doesn't matter. I mean, it truly belongs to everyone that's in a big city, in a metro, trying to live a life. And I just have to talk about the actors. I think they blew my mind off. Like the first time I started messaging them on Instagram and saying, wow, these are just phenomenal people that I've seen them work. And yeah, so I think that's a combination of that is what I said, okay, now I need to be part of this film and find a way that the entire country watches and gets to feel what I felt. What was the most special thing, let me tell you, is once I got done with the film, after the first time I watched it, I was talking to everybody about it over the course of time. And we're from this commercial stroke, corruptish world where we're just trying to put projects together, we're trying to move things faster. Yeah, it's become projects, it's become like, the terms have changed. And I remember the first conversation I had with her when I said, why do you make this film? She said, I spent a lot of time in hospital, I met these people, and then I decided to make a story. I think that's really the ethic of a filmmaker that we're looking for. And it's very important to pick a why. Why did you want to tell this story? And I think All We Imagine and Payal have this very strong reason why they've told this story. And I think it's very inspiring for more filmmakers to come out and tell these types of stories. It's important for our audience to know that this is really what India is. See, many times we try to shy away from telling these stories. It's stuff that you know, but you'll try to brush it under the carpet, keep it there. But I think it's important to get these films out and get a voice. And again, the fact that Malayalam cinema was the first and probably still is the only cinema that caters to storytelling like this, in almost a mainstream way. And to me, like when I come to, like here, we're talking about it as an independent film, but this same press conference, if it happens in Cochin, it'll feel like it's a regular film that's coming out on a Friday. And
but today, I think I was hoping that it felt like it was a regular film that is coming out, because to us it is a regular film that is going to be to be screened, and I'm really looking forward to that. But who is your favorite character if someone you could relate to the most?
Someone I could. I think Chayya was definitely that. Like, see that no nonsense thing about Bombay. You can't have pity in this town. You can't say, true. It's so hard. It's just too quick. Like, to me, what I remembered out of this actually when I saw, and I was talking to a friend of mine at work, is the first few years when I came to Bombay, it was so exciting. So I won a bunch of awards like the best debut and Filmfare and this and Z and all of that. And then I went back to do a Telugu film 2 years later. There were some 7 actors that were new. And that's it. I was like, it's a different industry in 2 years. You can't not be around here. And I said, okay, if you have to make a career here, you either have to live here and fight it, or figure out how to make such awesome films that the Telugu films travel. And I'm just happy that the latter did, and I still have something going.
Yeah, you all set the benchmark in a lot of ways in that sense. But now, Payal, to you, particularly, I want to talk about a scene which really struck a chord with me is when Prabha's character, in sheer, I think, loneliness, she hugs the cooker in a very, like a, I think if I want to describe that film or the emotion that I took away, that would be the scene, because it is just heart-achingly beautiful. Just I want to understand, when you were writing, how did you come up with that scene to ensure that all of us feel what you really want to tell us?
I felt like this cooker became an interesting mode for me to talk about a lot of things that a woman like her could go through, because we are advertised as women like this particular item will change your life as a with a big family, you need this cooker which is just going to be amazing, but she doesn't have that family. So, but she wants the cooker. She's happy to have it. It's also got this, you know how they advertise appliances, like it moves in slow motion and there is this like golden light and all, and you're like, I really want this. For some reason, it's going to change my life. But it's just an appliance to make rice. So I was thinking about all these things and all these messages as women that are given to us all the time. The message of being a mother, of being a wife, of being somebody who uses this appliance to change her family life. You know, it was so, like, for me, it touched all those things. So I felt that maybe to the audience also will get the connotations of a mere kitchen appliance, and in cinema we can do that. Like we can have some fun with small things, and I very much like using daily objects to become something more than that.
I must commend you also, because you know, a lot of times people try to spell it out like in literal words to be able to show these nuances, but I like that you kept it very subtle, where you gave that benefit of doubt to the audience that if they are watching, they will understand what I'm trying to say. And a lot of times filmmakers kill that process in order to spell it out. That means that you were very confident of what you were doing, because if you're not confident, you won't be able to take that risk. After having had the kind of journey that you have had with this film, to still have that confidence intact, where did you draw that confidence from? Who were your pillar of strengths during those times? Because I know that it's been a long journey for you.
I think the actresses, really, like working with women like this, they are not just great actresses, they are wonderful people and amazing artists. They really think about film, you know, not like a job that they came to do, but they got so involved, and it was like a extended family for us. So having that support, I think for anybody, that's a great privilege. And they're also really incredible people.
We saw that, because even at the red carpet at Cannes, I mean, I'm sorry, for me, just them dancing was such a visual. And I remember speaking to Chayya ji during that time, and I think she had mentioned that it was just so impromptu. Totally. Like they just started dancing, dol baj rahe the, so she was like, I just started dancing and everyone just joined, and it was such a beautiful visual. And that in itself shows that all they were there was to celebrate. And I think that was the essence of it. But Rana, I think in this industry, often we talk about how we need more men supporting films which identify or which give voice to women characters and women films. I mean, I'm sorry, I have to put gender in here, but because there is not enough being spoken about this, it just needs to be, I think, underlined a lot more. What encourages you? Because you have always taken those kind of risks. You know, like people call you that bridge between South and... Because I think you kind of started that in a lot of ways.
See, I'm just a fan of movies. Yeah? I like movies of all kind. I grew up in the movies, and I feel like every time I went to a cinema, I just wanted to watch new things. I know the world because of the movies. I didn't study well in school. I didn't learn nothing anywhere. The movies taught me everything. How to live, what is my country, what is the world. And I just feel like the more the merrier. And to me, it was never about gender support. It was nothing. It's just a good story is a good story. And I feel like as much as I get excited, there's enough of audience out there that will get excited for these films. We actually had a film a month ago called 35. It's a story of a mother and son. Just getting the son to pass math and get 35 marks. Now that's a simple story, but yet beautiful. And now we have all we imagine. See, so I'm saying everyone identified with that story as soon as I put the trailer. Now first they were like, that's such an indie film, it's such this. Then I was like, everyone has math as a problem and you'll get it out there. So I'm sure like every story is made for a certain reason. And it's just, you have to watch it to know why these stories are told. And to me, it's not about anything. It's anything that I like. I'm sure that there are audience out there. And it also boils back to the filmmaker's ethic in terms of why they've told this story. And a story, if that it's told, has to go to many people. Like earlier in the press conference, they're talking about, okay, when an indie film in India is made, it wins awards abroad. It does big releases abroad. I was like, if it's in India, then it should be an Indian film. I'm saying Payal's come from Indian soil. So if there's a filmmaker like her and there's audience like me, then I'm sure there's more out there.
I want to ask you, is when I'm watching the film, another beautiful essence of Bombay, which I could see, is how the visuals are not they're grainy in ways. Is it a conscious thing? Because in Mumbai, because we're so fast and we're always running, I feel life is a haze in general. Like by the end of the week, we are just like, oh my God, the week just passed by. Because that is what I felt it was intentional to keep it a little grainy because it kind of reflects how life in general is in Mumbai. I want to understand, was it really intentional or am I reading too much into it?
It was definitely intentional. And because I wanted to shoot a lot of the movie in the evenings and at night. Because that's the time that if you work, you're sitting at you're working indoors. So evenings and nights is when you can explore the city. You can go out to meet a lover. You can go out for a festival or to do anything. Is in the evening and the nights. Those are our own. And I felt that the graininess kind of caused a feeling of warmth for me. I think this comes from watching older movies which had celluloid, and that creates a feeling of something nice. For me at least, because I feel like this darkness to have a little bit of texture creates some depth in the darkness. So instead of having it black as black, this for me created some other life, and I felt that went with the themes of the night and the city, and that's why it feels a bit grainy.
Yeah. And to me, that actually made it so real. That made it so real. Just the fact that you use that treatment. Like halfway I was cut off, I was like, oh no, this is actually a film I'm watching. It's not real life, right? So I think it was beautiful, yeah.
And I think very few filmmakers are able to do that, where somewhere you forget that this is actually a film that is going on and immerse yourself completely into it. But Payal, again, I have to ask you this because I think all of us were kind of disappointed with the fact that the film did not make for the Oscar selections. I know you have already said it that, you're happy that Lapata Ladies went by. But, for people who kind of were rooting for this film also to sort of get that selection, I was personally disappointed, I have to say that. But apart from that, in an interview with India Today itself, the FTII chief had mentioned one thing which I wanted you to explain if you kind of agree with it. He said that they were discussing this film to also be considered for selection, to be sent for selection. But, however, in my personal opinion, he said, the film could have been technically better. So I want to understand, what does that really mean?
There's a movie called Triple R. Have you watched it? It also didn't go from India, but it somehow won and it came back. So I just feel like the film will do its merit. And see, India's a big country. Right? Everyone has a certain job. They have an ecosystem to figure out. But you shouldn't worry about what happened. Let's worry about what's going to happen.
Yeah, true. That is for sure. All we imagine as light is anymore an indie film only. It's a mainstream film. We are all going to watch and enjoy it in theatres, which is releasing on 22nd of November in Mumbai and worldwide, or nationwide.
India 22nd, but the world will see it before. America comes on the 15th. France is already released. The film will be out in 50 countries, so it's bigger than a mainstream film actually. So there goes. It's not independent no more.
So what am I going to say anymore? Thank you so much for this lovely chat, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.